Well, hey guys, happy New Year. Great announcement. And we are certainly stoked and excited to hear the announcement that Pilgrims has given up on the airport. Lot of cause for celebration. Is it completely over? Nope. We've said that. I think we've tried to make that clear in multiple posts and some video work. There's still, there's a great public perception, and it's great they're making those statements, but there are some legal conditions because, quite frankly, we don't trust any of them. And right now, everything's kind of set in a position where it's more, well, it's on their word. And I want to lead with reminding everybody that the declining, the proposal puts us back to where we were. This suit and all this stuff was started when there was no official proposal. And so now we're back to there. So now this lady and the legal team have got to get it over the finish line because the only thing that we're going to trust is something that is legally binding. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. So, this is a great next step, appreciative of the airport authority vote. And this now, I'm glad Pilgrims came out and said what it said, that it is no longer pursuing the proposed location at the airport. Great way to end the year. But if you'll remember, this all started in November 2020 when we learned that they had done all these behind the scene closed doors talks. They had already bid the project out for construction and had a February 2021 start date. All of this was done with no written proposal in place at all. In fact, the written proposal that was rejected by the airport authority and is referenced by Pilgrims was really not even issued until June 2021. And so we had already kind of uncovered that this verbal handshake, whatever they want to call it, deal was going on. So we're kind of back to where we were. So the idea that there can't be further, behind the scenes talks about another location or something. Look, we hope that's not going on. I'm not saying that is going on. We're just saying that people of Etowah County deserve closure, and we know that had been going on before we have gotten this good news about them no longer pursuing the location at the airport. We need to make sure that doesn't happen again, and we need to make sure that it is approved by the court in an agreement, locked tight, so that everyone can finally put this matter to rest. We all want this over. This is a great step. I'm really excited about it. I hope you are too. But we've got a little more work to do in order to be able to say that we know they're not coming anywhere in Etowah County, and there's no ability to re-engage in some more of these closed door behind the scenes talks in order to do that. So, we're working, the legal team will be working. We've already reached out. Hey, if that's not your intention, if you by saying that you're not going to the airport, that means you're not going anywhere and that this is over, then let's say that. Let's put that in writing in a format that everyone can agree on, where the judge signs off on it and it's binding. So, we're excited. We're hopeful that this announcement will further that. And that's what our next goal is. And I can't wait till the day that we're able to come on this live and to tell you guys that's what we have done. So need it dead.
So we just wanted to jump on real quick because we were actually up here working on some of this stuff when we got the announcement and saw all that. And thought this would be the quickest way to kind of get the word out and inform folks. So we didn't let a bunch of folks jump on. We'll certainly, if folks have got some questions or anything like that, we'll talk for a few minutes. Of course, it is New Year's Eve, and we want to pack up and get out of here as quick as we can. Although I guess the real festivities don't occur until much later this evening. Or for you Alabama fans, I think y'all have something big going on today. So if you've watched this far, you can probably stop watching, but we are going to dive into, there was a motion that was filed.
Right.
And we'll dive into that here in just a second. So they made the public announcement, and so there is, what it sounds like, some goodness coming out of, at least potential for goodness out of a motion that they also filed at the same time. Let's.
They issue. Oh, go ahead. Do you have a question, Michael?
I'm just gonna you say what you're gonna say. I'm gonna read through and see if anybody's got any questions real quick.
In the public statement that they issued, they mentioned that a motion to dismiss was filed at the same time. So the public statement was issued along with that motion. So the motion they have filed, they've got some more. There's some more good news in it. They are claiming in the motion that they have surrendered their air permits that ADEM issued back in January of this year. So another great first step. Those air permits were for the airport location. So they have given those up. And, that doesn't mean that they can't reapply, but again, it's a good step, and they're arguing that the surrender of their air permits is another reason in order for the judge to grant. Again, their goal in filing this motion and issuing the statement is for the zoning case to be dismissed completely. They're taking the position that because they are saying that they are no longer pursuing a location at the airport, that the whole case is due to be dismissed. And our position, it's no surprise to anybody, is that, again, that's great, but we need assurances. Our lawsuit's about more than just the airport. It's about Etowah County as a whole. It would be a nuisance for a rendering plant to be anywhere. We know they were looking at other locations. We know that they've looked at them since they allegedly decided on the airport. So let's get this last step where they agree that not only are they not looking at the airport, but Etowah County as a whole. Then we can talk about dismissing the case and calling this thing done.
All right. So a couple of quick, I think we got more statements than questions, which is awesome. Everybody's excited. So unless the zoning ordinances are amended, another entity could obtain permits, follow the same process, and we'd be here once again.
Yeah. And again, part of what our conversations, and I won't really talk about what our discussions are going to be with the other parties about what's going to help us to achieve that. The zoning, you're absolutely right. The zoning ordinances are an issue. We're going to try to talk about that in resolving this case as well. That's a great point and something that your legal team has already kind of talked about. But, again, elections are really what's going. We need to make sure that this next round of elections, we get people in there that are fresh and that have new ideas and that are going to look at these ordinances and go, hey, based on what's been happening, we need to get up here and change these. So we can only do so much as part of our case. But with some of these longer term issues, it's really going to take getting some new leaders in there in order to get this stuff fixed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody said, great way to end 2021. Thank you and your legal team for all your hard work. We are almost there forward. And I want to, I just want to say, I guess I can sound like a negative Nelly. This is great. Like I just messaged in a group, our community should be so proud that this was it's a pretty big deal. I know it kind of all just happened, and I don't know that a lot of folks have really digested, but it's a really big deal the way the communities come together in a way that I don't know that Etowah County really ever has to fight something like this. But we've got to take that momentum and run like heck with it, because this opens up so many doors and opportunities for our community to do the right things and get this done. To what you were just saying about, we got elections coming up.
We can't let this happen again.
Yeah, we can't forget what got us here.
We've worked too hard. We can't let this happen again. And I think what we've seen throughout this is that those that that believe there's two visions. There's a group that have one vision for what Etowah County can be and how we operate and how the citizens and the leaders relate to each other, and then there's everybody else. So we need to make sure that we have leaders in place that reflect what the people want, not only from the vision but also in the relationship that they expect and that they demand that their leaders give them. This group has done a great job at engaging and following. If it wasn't for you, today would not have happened. You are the reason that this good news is happening today, and you will be the reason that good news happens with elections or everything else going forward. So this momentum and this engagement is great, and really we don't finish. Even when my part's over and the legal case is over, the work is still there to be done.
She didn't see it. David Stanley said they said it was a done deal. Christy Knowles said, "Watch me."
Well, y'all, again, I am just, the legal, one of many of the legal team on this. You are the ones who but for you need to, credit is with you guys. And it's just been, we're not done yet, but I cannot express the privilege and the honor it has been to fight for you, for the whole legal team, to do all of this. Again, we're not done, so we're not taking a lap yet, but I did want to say that. Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there a Tiger team tasked with focusing on how to maintain the momentum we currently have to move us forward, not just until the election, but forward through visioning the future? I'll answer that with saying, we weren't really planning on coming on alive now. We've got the Advanced Etowah. There's a few things that we've got to get figured out strategically, I guess would be the best way to say. Honestly, I don't know that I'd say it's a Tiger team. It's the same group. It's all of us. We're in this. We've all had the discussion of committing to at least 3 to 5 years of doing this. AE is an organization that just kind of came about in this process. It seems to have worked, and we all agree that this very quickly became about a lot more than the rendering plant. I've said it before, the rendering plant was a symptom of an underlying problem. And, so Advanced Etowah, at least as an organization, we're committed to be here for a while. And to be honest, our hope is that if the ship can get steered in the right direction, that what we're doing with AE no longer, becomes necessary, and we can sundown, Advanced Etowah and let the proper entities take care of themselves. Get a government that's structured the right way, so you don't have all the same people on all the same boards. Get more folks involved. Get a more representative version of what our community looks like in our not just the Gadsden government, but the whole of Etowah County. Master plan. If you plan, or if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. That's a really long answer to that. But yeah, this is, we're going to have victory. We've been already talking about at least how much is enough to throw a celebration of some kind, because that's definitely something that I think we need to do as a community when it's over.
When it's over.
So it's a really good feeling. It's a great way to end the year. So beyond elections, and we'll see where things go from there. But everybody needs to stay engaged. There's a lot that a small group can do, but ultimately it's really going to be up to the entire community in the entire county of Etowah. Are we truly something different than what we have been for the last couple of decades? I think we are.
And I'm excited. I am. I think we are, and I think everybody is. I think I feel the excitement. Everybody understands that there's going to be an Etowah County before the rendering plant and Etowah County after the rendering plant. And I think that it's going to be exciting to be part of that. And I hope everybody, again, we're not done yet here, but when elections, stay engaged. It's extremely, if there was any time to be engaged and to be part of it, now is the time. This is a critical election. If we don't get some new ideas and some in there, then but I think we will. I do. I really think we will.
Are all the sunshine law type cases still going forward?
Yes, they are. So this motion to dismiss was filed in the zoning case. We still have the open records case and the open meetings case. I've already had one motion. The Gadsden Airport Authority filed a motion to dismiss in the open records case. We have a hearing on that on Monday, and I anticipate the other parties are going to file motions to dismiss as well. We're objecting to those. They have not provided all of the records we asked for. They provided some, but not all. So not until all of the records we've asked for have been provided, and we've got assurances of full compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Those are foundational, fundamental issues that we've got to fix, and those stand alone from what we're dealing with in our zoning case.
Yeah, and I think this question is right along with that. Does it appear the political will of City Council is changing? I would not say that it. I mean, I think it's the same that it has been for months now. With a few guys that have been supportive of opposing this. They have realized, and they've also listened to the community, which was what we need. And then there are another handful that refuse to listen to the community, or whatever community they're listening to is a very different community than the rest of us live in, which may be the case. I don't know. But I don't think this is. I don't think the city council had anything to do with any of this. To be frank,
in fact, it was in spite of most of them. I think the only thing that will change the political will of the city council is elections.
Yes, that's a simple, clear way, but to the point of the continued open records, open meetings. Until we actually see, I mean, we've got some basic processes around here that are wrong. And that's, that's part of what we've kind of been screaming, as a group. And that's where we're going. That's going to be part of what we're going to be talking about. I'm planning on doing, trying to get weekly shows going, where we're going to talk about the issues and get folks that know and are intimately familiar with the issues around here. And let's talk about it as a community. Because there's still a lot more than just the rendering plant, a lot more than just the airport even. If you screwed the airport up this much, I can only imagine what other things might be messed up, and that's where we need to start. The
rendering plant is a symptom, and it's not the disease. The disease is all these fundamental how we got there, and we got to fix those foundational issues, or we're just going to end up with another problem. And so, but we understand that now. I mean, that's the good news. We know that, we understand that, we know what's wrong, and we know how to get it fixed. So it's going to be exciting this year, I think. 2022, I mean. Any more questions, Michael? Everybody's getting ready for a great new year, I hope.
Yeah. No, just lots of excited comments, which is awesome. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to see.
I did say that.
Yeah. So I believe she said, "Watch me undo your done deal."
And again, we got Josh Sullivan and Phil Williams and Jonathan Huffsteller, all your legal team. I'm just the one elected to get on these lives and speak, but we've got a whole legal, and again, the Chadwicks and Advance Etowah and all the intervenors. I mean, I wish I could go, but again, victory lap time is not here. Okay. And if that time comes, then, but we're not there yet. I could go on and on about that, but we've got work we still have to do. So.
Yes. Man, it's fun to see a lot of positive comments, and it is, I didn't know I would enjoy it as much to see, where everybody's not scared to death. And I feel like we've kind of been living under that. And I definitely think we're getting out from under that. Certainly, I would say at this point, if they came back with some new proposal or some other ridiculous thing at the airport in particular, I don't think that would bode well. And people might actually get pitchforks and torches. So I'm glad that we have stayed away from that. I think we should be proud as a city, as a community, how a lot of this has been handled. And especially in 2021, almost 2022. I can't believe. But no, fun to see. Oh, somebody's mentioning I'm not wearing a hat. Yeah, you're right. I'm not wearing a hat.
He wasn't sure about whether to wear the hat or not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I can throw one on if it bothers you. Nobody wants to see me. Question about, pull this up. Has anyone announced running for Gadsden City Council, place one, to replace the current member? I'm all in supporting that campaign. We've got a few folks that I know. From what I'm hearing, as I learn more about politics, which is not really what I want to be doing, but it is what it is. Especially a lot of your city council member seats may be fairly delayed in announcing. Those that have already announced with mayor and other that seems to be everybody. I kind of get the sense it's pretty early for a lot of what is a normal thing. So I think there's still plenty of folks that are looking to run for city council. So at least I hope we get some more. The qualification doesn't open for city until June 1st, I think. So, or the first part of June. So, a lot of people have already announced, but I think as you get closer towards that June date, you'll probably see more. I know that Michael's got a whole page on Advance Etowah with all of the people that have currently stated that they're running. So I think he's going to update that as that list grows. Yeah. Let me throw that up on the screen. Yeah. So if you go to advancedetowah.com, you'll see election 2022. And I'm slowly getting that. That is going to be a comprehensive list of everybody that's running. I'm trying to pull links from websites, LinkedIn profiles, of course, social. What we'll be adding in is lists of the issues with their responses. An area for a bio. And as we find links, and as you guys send me links of them talking on the internet or things they posted or articles about them, I'll pull that in. The idea is I want to make it as easy as possible for voters to look at all of these candidates side by side, get all the information that you can find about them, and make it an educated decision on who is best to lead our community. That's the goal. I want to make it as easy. I know it's hard. Most of us don't really want to invest a ton of time in worrying about politics. Some people around here certainly love it, and we're thankful for it. But most of us have soccer games to get to, football games to watch, work to do, second jobs to do, all of that kind of stuff, and we don't have time. And so I want to give you a resource to make it as easy as possible so you can get in there and see who's who, what they're about, what their thoughts are on the core issues, and I just want to make sure we don't get distracted by shiny objects that get thrown out there. We've got some foundational issues in this community that need to be the number one focus. The proper government structure, our education system, the actual infrastructure. We've got this whole Clean Water Act case that is still out there. We have tons and tons of sewage overflow. And that's, Coosa Riverkeeper and that team, they've been really, enlightening a lot of us of the issues. That's stuff that we got to get fixed. We have to fix that as a community. There's so many other things that just don't matter if we can't get those basic things done. So that is the resource. Let me get that off the screen so you can see Christy. All right. Oh. Is there any truth to, let's see here, what is this? Is there any truth to the idea that Pilgrim's Pride is now looking at the old Keystone plant?
So that was one of the first locations that when they first came to Etowah County that was proposed to them as the old Keystone plant. So, I don't know. I haven't heard that they are necessarily looking anywhere. I haven't heard that they are or they aren't. Again, the problem is that, they were here for, 9 months and we didn't know about it. So we just want to make sure that none of these sort of behind the scenes conversations and deals are going on. And so I do know that the Old Keystone was one of the first locations that the IDA proposed to them when they first came here. What it seems like happened from the deposition we took of David Hooks and Bill Green was that they came here, they took them all to Eagle Grove to take that tour, and then the city proposed a couple of sites to them, and then the county came in, or then they looked at the whole mega site location, and the county said no to that. And rather than going kind of back to the old Keystone location in another one, somehow the airport was offered up at that point in time. Looks like around June of 2020 is when they first offered, which was obviously a prime, wonderful piece. And I'm sure Pilgrims, thought, wow, this is great. They're offering prime airport land. So after the county site ended, that's when the airport came up. But the Keystone was one of the original sites that they had proposed. So that's a long answer to a short question. I don't know. I hope not. But the goal is to make sure through winding this lawsuit down to make sure that none of those types of opportunities are going to come back up, so we can put this to bed. We all want to put this to bed and move on to other things.
All right. I saw one comment in there, and I'm trying to pull something up. Give me just a second. My computer is not wanting to cooperate with me.
He's very high tech.
Yeah,
all kinds of
except it doesn't
technology around here, guys.
Hold on. It's thinking hard.
I'm glad someone's thinking hard. It's been a day, a good one.
Yes, it's been a year. All right. Let me find another comment so you can keep talking.
Okay. I can talk all day long, answer any questions that you guys have. I appreciate you having questions and being interested.
All right.
Caring.
Please recap where we stand with IDA. Are you providing minutes to meetings or still obstructed by the IDA being a publicly funded private entity? I'm confused.
Well, so the IDA is they claim they are, so the answer is no. They are not providing public meetings, public records, public minutes, public anything. They claim to be a nonprofit private entity that contracts with the city to provide industrial development and are not subject to any open records, open meetings, anything like that at all. That is one of the fundamental problems that we are talking about here. You've got the whole industrial recruitment of a city being sort of channeled or funneled through this private nonprofit whose sole source of funding is the city. So all governmental funds are used to fund the IDA, yet because they say they're a private nonprofit, they are not subject to any open records or open meeting act case. They are not formed pursuant to the statutory. There's a section in the Alabama Code where IDAs, where authorities like this, you can form an authority under pursuant to the provisions of the code. This IDA is not formed under this code section. It is formed under the Nonprofit Act, where they're just a nonprofit. Any nonprofit can file. So because of that, they're using that to claim, because they're not a governmental entity, therefore they're a private nonprofit, despite the fact that their sole source of funding is your taxpayer dollars, that they are not subject to the Open Records or the Open Meetings Act. This is a fundamental governmental structure that's got to be changed. The people should have the ability not only to know that their tax dollars and the industrial recruitment activities are open to the transparency as a governmental entity that you deserve to have, but also that they're accountable to they're not accountable. They have a board that, according to the then IDA chair, Larry Means, really doesn't have any power. But when we depose David Hooks, the only the board tells him what to do. So David Hooks says the board's responsible. The board says no, the city and David Hooks is responsible. No one's accountable to anyone. I think Mike Shannon is or was, after Larry Means resigned, the IDA a chair. We don't even know. They took the list of who their board of directors was down off of the website. So a lot of these IDA board members we know are on there are people that are just trying to help and are doing the right thing. They probably don't even know that they've ultimately got the power to tell David Hooks to stop and
right.
to do this. They probably have been told they don't have the power to do any of this, because they probably think they're a governmental entity controlled by the city as well. And that's the problem. We've got this structure that's being used to kind of not in the intended purpose, whether or not that was done intentionally or not intentionally. Mike McCain, who was the former IDA director, operated under this structure, and he had public meetings. He had open minutes. He emailed his minutes and so, in
fact, he emailed his minutes where he didn't even bring a similar project
right
to the board,
yeah.
and said,
I have minutes from years ago where it was actually Bill Green, but Bill Green was just continuing the procedure that Mike McCain had put in place, where it was open. And so I'm not saying that the IDA was structured intentionally from the beginning in the 1980s in order to do this, because it wasn't operated in that way. It's just when Mike McCain passed and David Hooks came in, it's now being used in order to operate, behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And that's one of the fundamental issues that elections are going to have to fix. It's going to take our leaders getting in there and going, no, we're going to form a statutorily created IDA, just like everyone else has, the normal way, and we're going to do it in an accountable, transparent way. And it's just time to whenever we did it that way when we did it years ago, it's not working for us anymore. And let's get in there and clean it up. Again, a long answer to that, but the answer is no. They are not conducting their.
Well, we're going to keep going on with that, because this comment was made regarding future governance. We need a whiteboard out every board seat and think in terms of skill sets rather than people. When we identify the ideal skill sets, then we find the people who best fit those requirements. And being best buds with the mayor doesn't count.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so you want a whiteboard. Mm-hmm. This is what I was trying to find. Mm-hmm. And I'm still working on getting this finalized, but here you go. Here's your whiteboard. This is a bunch of the boards, and who's on what, at least as best we know and understand. I'm going to be getting this posted and stuff as we drive into the new year. That's why it took me a minute. I was not prepared to bring this up, but since y'all are talking about it, you can see names in red that are on there are names that overlap, and that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, because Christy Knowles' name is in red on a few of those as an attorney that represents several of these entities around the community. So the red is not a bad thing. It's just calling attention to some of the overlap, and it's over to us to take a look at it as a community and go, well, where is that red a bad idea? And then who are these people? How did they get there? And like Christy said, I think there's plenty of people, and I think we've learned throughout this whole process, there are plenty of great people that are involved in a lot of these entities. They've either been told the wrong things, misled, or for whatever reason don't necessarily understand exactly the position they're in. And so, it's on us to encourage everybody to look, to question, is everything the way I think it's supposed to be, if that makes any sense. So there's your whiteboard, and we'll keep working on getting that stuff out there, and helping people understand. And that's, again, I've got a directory on that app that I'm slowly getting populated. Reba helped me a lot early on to get a bunch of people typed in. So if you go on advancedetowah.com, under that app, you'll find Etowah governmental directory, and I've got a bunch of folks from all over the community in different seats, listed on there as well. Again, the idea is we need to make it easy for us as a community to understand how our community works, be informed about the things that are going on as quickly as possible, and then when we need to weigh in, and pick folks and know when we can trust, hey, they can go. We don't have to keep an eye on them. But right now, we're not there. We need to keep an eye on everything. So,
and the point being, just because we're asking questions and is a good thing. And so I think we need to get away from the idea that as we question, why have we always done it that way? It might have worked. Is it working for us now? Those aren't trying to insult or impugn the people who are serving or say that there's anything wrong. But now's the time, and we're looking at all this stuff, and we're kind of reinventing who we are. And by doing that, those are questions that need to be asked, and that's a good thing. And so what we've seen throughout this is the idea that by questioning our leaders and people on boards, we've gotten this sort of pushback about, you're not supposed to even it's some personal insult to even question. And I think we need to get away from that. We need to ask in a way that is a respectful one, where we're trying to do the right thing. But I think that's one of the many gifts that rendering is going to hopefully bring. There's a kind of renewed interest in acceptability in going, why do we always do it that way? And do we really need to be doing it that way? And I'm not insulting you by asking why we're doing it, but we are reinventing who we are and figuring out who that is. And those are questions that need to be asked as we move into the kind of new future we have.
And I'll go a step further, and obviously I have a skewed outlook on this because it's what I do for a living. We have this thing called the internet. We can make videos, we can make posts. We can use that as a tool to talk and inform people. That should not be frowned upon, that it's used in that way. Most of us, we have time to consume a message or information. It's not about getting on and bragging, though certainly some choose to use it that way. But it's certainly proven a pretty useful tool to keep people informed about what's going on, actions that are being taken, explanations of why, this is why we're making this decision. This is why we're, passing this ordinance. This is why we're taking these things. Certainly we've seen some locally that do a better job than others. But I'm kind of done with the whole conversation that, well, we don't have to get on and talk to everybody on Facebook. Find your way to communicate, but you're definitely leaving a lot, hanging if you're not getting on and utilizing the tools that we have. I know it takes time, but I mean, life takes time. Good, hard work takes time. So, and it's honestly not that hard. If you've got one of these, it's just not that hard to say, hey, let me explain real quick what it is that's going on. I'm certainly thankful for the governments around here that are at least live streaming things like their city council meetings, and we see folks making those efforts. That's awesome. I mean, we need that. That helps with that transparency of the government. We're all busy. We are all busy. I would much rather, sit on my couch, vegging out on a something I'm watching, or whatever, sitting around with my family at, 8:30 at night and being able to just, hey, I just want to read a couple of quick posts from the people and see what's going on, vice trying to make an 11 o'clock city council meeting on Tuesday. So again, great that those things are being live streamed. I think it's silly to have conversations about, well, I don't want to get out there and brag about everything I'm doing. It's not about bragging. I don't want you to get out there and brag about all the stuff you're doing either. I want you to talk to people. And if you don't really know how to communicate in this way, certainly you can type. Certainly we're seeing, I'll give a shout out to Mayor Taylor. He's killing it in the comments. Mm-hmm. He gets in there and explains stuff. And I'll give a shout out to Jason Wilson. He clearly gets it from his work with Back 40. He understands the modern way that people just communicate with each other, and he does a great job, especially on the city council meetings with his wrap-ups on the lives, and explaining to people both in the room, and I know he's thinking about the people that are watching as well, an explanation of, hey, we just did this, and this is why we did it. It's not that hard. It's just not that hard.
It's crazy that it's like a breath of fresh air, and it's what we should expect. I mean, the idea that Jason, which is amazing that he actually explains to the people what they just did. Shocking wow, that there's a council member up there that believes the people should know what their leaders are doing. And the time where that is the unusual thing, that needs to be the norm. And again, I mean, I know there's a lot of change that people, some feel more comfortable with things than they don't. But, that's why we need leaders that are comfortable with communicating with the people they are leading in the way that they understand and can access it. And so the idea of, if I hear another leader in this case where I subpoena and email and they don't email, and that all their emails go through some helper or assistant who then look, if you can't even email people, I mean, if you don't even know how to email, then
yes,
your ability, multiple. I can give you 5 different of our leaders that they don't email, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't email? And so, if that's the time for that type of leadership style, and it, I think is run its course, and we need people who know how to communicate and to operate in this world. So.
And that goes back to the very basics of that, is when people ask you questions, don't take it offensively. Even if that's in person, good old fashioned, handshaking and looking you in the face and talking to you. Don't take that personally. You should be questioned, and you should be thankful and proud that your citizens care enough to ask questions. So again, I'm not telling you got to do a big setup or do video. Just talk to people. And the city council meetings where it's a lot of talking at the people instead of two-way communication. And I don't know, maybe that's not the right forum. I get it. That's worth the discussion in terms of how to create a better forum to do that. I don't know. It's just so darn easy. And I think we've proven that this year. And, so again, like I said, I get it. I'm biased. It's what I do for a living. I help people figure out how to communicate. I've been doing that with boats, and other things for years, and lawyers, and so I'm completely biased, but I'm to me, it's not about Facebook or anything. It's about what's easy for people. That's what I want to make it. Make it easy for you as citizens in this case, or whether it's customers or clients or whatever. Like, make it as easy as possible. If you're a politician, you need the voters a lot more than the voters need you. So, anywho's, I think there's a lot of great ideas and questions, a lot of similar stuff on structures. I think
I'll try to get into
we'll get into some comments.
I'll go in there when
and everything I'm seeing, it's on a list that we're building out of discussions I have and content moving forward. I've got one that I'd like to do and sit down, and we'll specifically talk about the construct of the IDA. We'll have Christy and figure out if maybe there's one or two other people that would be a good value to that discussion. And let's dissect, as you talk about the proper statutes, the proper compliance. What are some different ways? I see some comments about like the IDA representative for the city, and then you've got economic development over here, and number one, are we just wasting resources? And then just because it's about Gadsden, what about the whole county? How does that whole thing interact? So that's one I think one whole video, and that's one whole discussion that we can have. And there's tons more, and we've got a long time before August in the first cycle of elections.
Right.
So, and certainly we'll be figuring out some plans on. We'd love to have the candidates come on and talk, all of them. Come on and talk about the issues, but I'm not going to jump. I'm not going to have all of them start coming on immediately, because quite honestly, I don't really want to hear their opinions right now. I think we still, as a community, still have some conversation that we need to have, and help figure out what are some critical things that we need to be concerned about. Let's get educated on those things. Let's talk to people that really know. If we're talking about the education system, I'm not really sure that any of the candidates are ones that are super qualified to talk about the education system. How about we get some educators, people that run education systems? Let's talk about that. The infrastructure problems. I think we've still got some information that we need to pull together so that we can intelligently listen to all of the candidates. And know the questions to ask them and the things that go, that should be something that we're concerned about. Certainly we have plenty of candidates that do know a lot. They have a lot of experiences around here, and they understand a lot of the issues. And I'm not trying to say that by any stretch, but I just feel like...
Well, I do think that. I mean, I agree with that, but I do think the good thing about the way that Advance Etowah has worked and this opposition page has worked is that it's pretty clear what the issues, what the foundational problems are. This group, through the conversations that we've had over the past year, it's no secret what this group understands, what the foundational problems are. And as great as it is to hear what those running for office have to say about what they think, I think that it's exciting to hear what they have to say about these issues that Advance Etowah, through the dialogue with the people, have said, now here's what we have identified from talking to people that we need to fix here. What do you propose about that? So, because and we've talked about this a lot, there may be a lot of great things to do, but if you don't fix the foundational problems, then we're going to have another rendering plant issue. Yep. If you don't fix those. And there's no better group in this county than this group that knows what those foundational problems are. You've lived it for the past year. So we're excited to see what those candidates have to say about those issues that we know that you guys care a lot about, that you've already asked me questions about. And I know we're going to continue to ask questions about and hold those candidates' feet to the fire. You may be wanting to talk about this, but we want to talk about these. We know this is wrong here, and we want to know what your ideas are on that.
All right. I think we're to the point of droning on and on.
Okay.
Lots of great comments, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all keep talking. Mm-hmm. I'd encourage you, don't spend all day today focused on this, especially as we get into the wee hours to celebrate a new year. Fresh start. It's great that we truly, I do kind of feel like we're going to get a pretty fresh start as a community going into January. Still some stuff to clean up, but certainly some good news. It's encouraging to hear from Pilgrims today. It's encouraging to see the motions they're filing. And it's most encouraging to me that on the legal side, none of this has really been a surprise to any of these lawyers that are involved in this. They've all gone through a lot of discussions of the what ifs, and I would say for the most part, everything that has happened, they have been prepared for, and there really haven't been there really haven't been any curveballs that have been thrown. There's been some waiting to see, okay, which tactic are they going to use? What are they going to try and do? But I've been impressed that at every turn, and it's not just her, but Josh and Phil and the associate
Meg.
Yeah, the attorneys around here,
Lexi.
they have been diving deep. I think we probably, Knowles and Sullivan probably now has one of the foremost experts in FAA law as it relates to
Lexi,
as it relates especially to BASH, to wildlife hazards, and transfer of property from airports. So pretty cool to see. But I'm excited to see what happens next year. We just wanted to jump on real quick, which turned into not so quick. And we're going to go try to celebrate some New Year. Lots of cool stuff in the months to come. By no means are we done. We've got a lot of work left to do as a community, and I'm stoked and excited to be a part of doing it because, wow, there's a lot of cool opportunity for us, and I think it's time to start taking advantage of those opportunities. So, you got anything else?
No, thank you guys. Have a safe and happy New Year. Have fun.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Please be safe. Please, please, please. All right, that's it. Thanks. See you guys next